Hey friends, I am going to finish the casebook soon, but I thought today we'd take just a slight break from it and read Gypsy and Aaliyah's Facebook messages from October 2014. So let's take a look, friends. These are from Into the Weeds Google Drive of the FOIA documents. I will put a link in the description. So you can see the date at the top. It's October 12th, 2014. And like Aaliyah said in the casebook that we were reading, Gypsy got mad at her after this and blocked her. That's why you don't see a profile picture and it just says Facebook user. That's why Aaliyah said she couldn't remember exactly what Gypsy's Facebook name was on this profile because we know Gypsy loves to start a million freaking social media accounts. Okay, so on October 12th, 2014, 4:30 p.m., Aaliyah gets a message says, "Hey Aaliyah, it's Gypsy. How have you been? Is that your baby?" Aaliyah replies, "Hey girl, I'm good. How are you? I've missed you. LOL, no, I wish. It's my best friend's. Her name is Charlie." Smile. Gypsy says, "I'm great. This is my personal account. My mom is still overprotective, so she don't know about this account. LOL. Anyway, I'm doing great. Still live at my house. It's pink now." Smile. "I've often wondered how you've been after you left home." Aaliyah replies, "I saw it. Super cute. Does your mom hate me?" "Ditto. I wanted to stop by, but I wasn't sure how your mom felt about me anymore." Then Gypsy says, "But also, I was wondering, I heard rumors that when we're friends, you was making fun of me behind my back. So I stopped being your friend. Is this true? My mom and I didn't like you after these rumors came out." Aaliyah says, "No, never once did I make fun of you, Gypsy. I cared and still care more for you than I ever cared for my sisters. I've never whispered one negative thing about you or your mother." "Who was saying these things?" "I messaged her about a year ago or so on here and checked to see how you both were, and she never replied." And Gypsy says, "That's why. But, well, I'll be honest, I don't think my mom wants us hanging out because, well, she said you're a bad influence on me, but I'll still be your friend on here. I just can't hang out because I got to listen to mom. And I don't remember who said you was being mean. It was a long time ago. But I believe you, and it took me a while to pluck up the nerve to ask because it hurts super bad." Aaliyah replies, "I don't blame you one bit. I wouldn't want to involve myself with someone that would speak poorly of me either. I don't blame your mom. I was young and incredibly stupid, but it has been several years and I've done a ton of growing up. Maybe you should slyly ask her about it. I'm 21 going on 22. It's been several years." Gypsy replies, "I'll see. But truth is, I was going through a rough time too. But I'm growing up too. I'm a painter now. Also, I've met a wonderful guy. We have been together for 2 years now." Smile. "I'm going to be introducing him to my mom in March. So my mom still doesn't want me dating, but I'm hoping it will go well in March and she approves of him. He's my first boyfriend and he is amazing. He's my soulmate. Really, truly, he is. He gives me poems and is so romantic. He lives in Wisconsin, though, so it's a long distance relationship. And my older cat, the calico, passed away in December. But we got a new one, a kitty sweetie pie. She's white with two heart shaped spots on her back." Smile. Aaliyah replies, "We all go through times like that. I hope she's understanding. How old are you these days? And what about him? How did you two meet? Oh, I'm sorry about your loss, but Sweetie Pie sounds like a real cutie. How are you and your mother and your health? How are things going with all that? Been on any exciting adventures?" Gypsy says, "It's going to take me time. LOL. I'm going to go eat and I'll be back on later. LOL. Aaliyah replies, "LOL, okie doke, enjoy." And Gypsy says, "Thanks, smile." Then Gypsy comes back, apparently after she went and ate, y'all. She didn't say, "I'm going to go get my feeding tube filled," or whatever they do. "Okay, now to catch up. Smile. I'm 18. Nick, my boyfriend, is 24. We met on a Christian singles site. And what made me fall for him was when I told him I'm in a wheelchair and I've got medical issues, and I was bracing him myself for him to be like the other guys. I was expecting him to either pity me or say, 'Oh, goodbye.' But his response was, 'I don't care about that. You're an angel in my eyes and you're perfect.' That melted my heart. After 3 days of talking, something just connected. We started being a couple for a few days, and in the first year was fantastic, but we had a bit of trouble with his exes wanting to break us up. So we agreed we just won't talk to them. We rarely ever argue, and if we do, it's because I'm being insecure and downing myself. I get that way during my period, so he knows to be extra sensitive, lol. But he's the kind of man that is unreal kind and romantic, and there's a reason why my profile pic is Cinderella and the prince because he calls me Queen Blessing and I call him King Charming. Smile. We are that couple that always shows PDA, and people are like, y'all are too cute, lol. We have talked about marriage, and he plans on popping the question sometime in 2016. And we want the wedding date to be in December of 2017 if all goes good. Smile. We want a snow wedding with a gazebo and red and white roses. And we even plan children names. If we have a son, he will be named after Nick, so Nicholas Paul Godejohn Jr. And if a girl, Gabriella Gypsy Godejohn. Smile. So we are very serious. We say we aren't dating, we are courting because we are both Catholic Christians. Anyways, my health has been stable. They found out that I have a chromosome deletion, and that's why all the medical issues, but I'm a fighter. Wink. I'll be okay. My mom's health has gotten worse over the years. She's got diabetes, heart problems, glaucoma, affects eye vision, liver disease, kidney failure, Parkinson's disease. So she's trying to still keep up, but we had to stop doing the newsletter, and we have only had 3 movie nights this year and only one last year. She just had kidney surgery for a kidney stone removal. She's getting better from that. But lots have changed here in the neighborhood. Lots of people that lived here are gone now, like Sean and his little boy John, as well as Mr. Jason and his little boy, and Miss Barb and her children are gone, moved out. Let's see, Fontana still lives here, but she's not at MSU anymore. She took only classes that didn't go to her major, so she never graduated. She's going boy crazy, though. She's seeing a man that is a proud non Christian, and her mom is going to kill her. Geez. Then Debbie and Paul Akers, the family that lived in the big yellow house with lots of kids. Well, Debbie and Paul are divorced now. All the daughters got pregnant at like 16 and moved out of the Neff boys still lived there, and Anthony Neff went into the military. He also got married. David Neff, his younger brother, is sleeping with Debbie Akers. She's like 45. He's 18, 19. Creepy. As well as for your mom and sister, I don't get to see them too often since we rarely have movie night. As for my mom and my relationship as mother and daughter, it's gotten better. After a rough patch I went through, I rebelled a lot against her, so it put a strain on our relationship. But slowly we got that love back, but still building trust back. As for adventures, we went to Disney World and Universal Studios in 2012. It was awesome. Then in 2013, we went to Cape Cod, Mississippi. Cape Cod was north. But she used the abbreviation for Mississippi. Anyway, I'll get back to just reading. There's no telling what she meant. Because I was nominated and won 5 awards for being a positive role model for children with medical issues. And I'm still doing public speaking. I love it. Let's see. Oh, the best news. Mom and I are going to Disney World again in January. But guess what? We are also going to the Harry Potter park get this, at the same time the Harry Potter celebration will be going on. I will be having dinner with the actors from the cast. Smile. I think Daniel Radcliffe will be there too. Ah, eek. Okay, so tell me, what's been going on with you? Smile. And things I'm into these days. I love the Hunger Games movies. I'm reading the Mortal Instruments book series. Smile. And I'm still homeschooled. Smile. Doing good on that. All A pluses. I also got rebaptized because I wanted to be saved after my little acting out in 2011. So I wear my purity ring as a symbol of my faith to God. Oh, also, that pic of me licking a knife, I'm not going crazy. I was dressed as Harley Quinn, the Joker from Batman's girlfriend. LOL, I'm not nuts. Oh, I see you got a new beau. Did things not work out with that boy, Cody Jett? Also, I'm on Instagram, Skype, and Twitter. LOL. Oh my God, you make reborn baby dolls? Cool. I have an avatar one. Smile. And then Aleah replies, oh, wow, that's a lot going on. I'm glad to hear you're steady, but I'm sorry to hear about your mama. I'm doing really well. I'm in school to be an esthetician. I'll graduate in less than a year. Things didn't work with Cody. He was a douche and took my car, even though I paid for all but $700. And I was going to finish making payments, but he kicked me out of our house. 2 days later, he dumped me through text. And then a couple days later, he took my car. I'm with a guy I've known for 8 or 9 years. We've always had a crush on one another, but neither of us had the nerve to take action on it. We started talking after he broke his jaw and lost several teeth in a mountain biking accident. One thing led to another. Now we've been together for 10 months today. We've been living together for like 9 months. We've had our own place since July. I've never felt so complete or happy in my life. He is so incredible and genuine. You ladies will definitely have to meet him. My family all loves him, and all his family loves me. It's so perfect. LOL, thanks. I was originally going to use the doll head as a prank for someone that did poor things to me, but I decided against it. So instead, I decided to use it for Halloween decor because John and I are both obsessed with Halloween. We plan on dressing super creepy like and whatnot. Smile. The pic of you in the headpiece is especially beautiful. You've done a ton of growing up. It's insane. We have a ton of catching up to do, Missy. I really hope we get to meet up and hang out soon because that would be incredible. Gypsy replies, That's awful about your ex, but so happy that you found love. Smile. Look at us, young women with great guys. Smile. Aleah replies, LOL, I know. I used to never think it was possible, but now I realize that it very much is. Gypsy says, Thank you. I was doing a dress up I like to cosplay, so I was Mary from TV show Rain. Aleah says, Gorgeous girl. Gypsy says, Yes, in March, Nick and I planned a meeting. We're going to go see the new upcoming Cinderella movie. I'm dressing as Cinderella, and he's going in a more formal wear, dress shirt and tie. LOL. I'll get my very first kiss. I'm so excited. I'm also nervous because I don't know how to kiss. LOL. Research on YouTube. LOL. Aleah says, Where do you guys plan on meeting? Are you nervous at all? Gypsy says, At the movies. Mom is going with me. Of course. So, well, the plan is Mom and I go to the theater. Nick will get there early. So I'll meet up with him in the lobby, take our first pic as a couple, then have our first kiss. Then I'll just say, Hey, Mom, I made a new friend. We traded phone numbers. Keep in touch. Then he will ask my mom's permission to court me. And I'm betting she'll say, Okay, since he is respectable. And then he can visit more. Then he already bought the ring. It's so beautiful. Smile. So, sometime in 2016, proposal happens, and I say yes. We plan marry, and we hope to buy land and live in a smaller home, but then live happily ever after. As for work, he and I started a jewelry business called Ruby Emerald Creations because I also make jewelry. Smile. That's the plan. Am I nervous? Yes. One, because I hope and pray my mother likes him. In the past, I told my mom something mean. I said I wished your mom was my mom instead of my mom because Mrs. Amy let Aleah date anyone she wanted, so that hurt my mom. But I get it now. She only wants the best for me. But I wanted to warn you whoever was starting rumors said you got knocked up by a guy and you don't know who the baby's for, and that you used to call me Tard Girl, like retarded. That's why my mom and I distance ourselves. I was too hurt for so long to talk to you again until now because I wanted to know the truth. Because I'm like, I thought of you as like an older sister. And sure, I'm not pretty like you. Boys don't flock to me. But one, I'm smarter than most give me credit for. And two, I thought we was pals. I just can't believe for years this rumor was a lie. It's just mind blowing. I want to apologize for not coming to talk sooner, sister. Winky face. I don't think mom will change her mind. And that was the end of their messages, friends. If there are more, we don't have it in the FOIA. So let's go back through these now and discuss and opine now that we've read all the information. So the first thing that stands out to me on this first one is that we can see that the date when Gypsy decided to reach out to Aleah was October 2014. Now, we know from the Facebook messages that Christy turned over to Fancy Maselli whenever she was doing the by proxy thing with the Good Wives Network. Gypsy sent some sort of pictures, from what we understand, to Rod or posted them and tagged somebody. We don't know, as far as I'm aware, exactly how it happened, but apparently the result was Rod, Mia, Dylan, the family saw these and was shocked. And from what I've heard, from what I can see in the messages that are between Dee Dee and Christy, Gypsy apparently said some bad things about her dad. Well, now that we know more about Rod, we can imagine the absolute confusion of Gypsy thinking that Dee Dee wasn't telling the truth and that Rod was actually great and having a wonderful family. And then to realize that later on in prison, to have Christy come and be like, Your dad is a sex addict. And he's talking to 19-year-old women when Gypsy already knew and was talking to some of Rod's side pieces, like the cookie lady. She knew that he was Skyping women naked in the shower and all this stuff. Yeah, you have to wonder if she had moments of mom was telling the damn truth about dad. What do y'all think, friends? Or do you think she always knew that Dee Dee was telling the truth about Rod there? Because that's another possibility too. Maybe she always knew and didn't care. But anyway, my whole point in rambling about that for a while is I wonder what caused Gypsy to decide that she wanted to reach out to Aaliyah after that happened. Because in those screenshots of the messages, it looks like this went down sometime prior to May 2014, because we can see that Dee Dee sent these messages to Christy about the incident, and the date is cut off on those. But then we get to later ones, and we can see that they were asking about something in May 2014. So we know that the previous ones were before that. So something caused Gypsy to decide that she wanted to talk to Aaliyah and spin a story to try and make it right of why her and Dee Dee threw Aaliyah under the bus. And before anyone gets upset that I'm saying Dee Dee threw Aaliyah under the bus, y'all, if Dee Dee is ever going to lie about anything, it's going to be to protect Gypsy. We know this because of the BB gun incident. Dee Dee filed a whole fraudulent police report to protect Gypsy from the information that Gypsy was the one who chased her around the house shooting her with a gun. Dee Dee said somebody tried to rob her at Walmart. In fact, I remember hearing about that incident thinking, oh my God, of all the people to rob, Dee Dee Blanchard and Gypsy Rose. And then whenever I first heard that Dee Dee was dead, before I heard the entire story, the second I heard that Dee Dee was dead, I said, oh my God, what about Gypsy? Is she okay? How is she going to make it? We know she's sick. And my God, for this to happen after somebody robbed them in Walmart and with a gun, BB gun. And then the person who was telling me said, hold up, there's more to the story. Gypsy's the one who had Dee Dee murdered. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, it was wild, y'all. So I said all that to say we know that Dee Dee will absolutely say what she needs to say to protect Gypsy. She would absolutely do that. So, what made Gypsy decide that she needed to pull up Aaliyah and spin that story at this time? We know she was already asking Nick to murder Dee Dee. And I just wonder if her deciding at a point that she needed to be good with Aaliyah was going to play into her ultimate plan to be a victim in this scenario and have people who would vouch for her locally. I don't know, y'all. I might be reaching there because, like I said, we're at a point now where I'm just opining and speculating on these messages. So nothing I'm saying here is to be taken, as absolute. I'm just speculating and want to know what y'all think. Am I right or am I reaching, y'all? And then, of course, we have the fact that Gypsy goes straight into her usual description of her mom. She's still overprotective. She said that in her interrogation. She said that whenever she was being interviewed in her stripes from prison, they said, how would you describe your mom? Overprotective. So when Gypsy says she heard rumors that when they were friends that Aaliyah was making fun of her behind her back, and so she stopped being her friend, I feel like this is Gypsy making up a scenario to try and explain to Aaliyah why they dropped her. Obviously, she's not going to tell Aaliyah, hey, we used you for a scapegoat for something crazy I did. What do y'all think? And of course, she has to bring Dee Dee in and make it that, oh, they both heard these rumors and that's why they didn't like her anymore. Aaliyah seems confused. And in my opinion, I feel like you can tell that it seems like Aaliyah still thinks that Gypsy's mentally slow. And so she's kind of humoring her whenever Gypsy's talking about Nick and, all the getting married and all this stuff. Do y'all get that impression or am I just reading in there what's not there? Now, in this next one here, Leah's like, I even tried to message Dee Dee and she never replied. And Gypsy's like, oh, well, that's why. And then she says, but I'll be honest, I don't think my mom wants us hanging out. She said you're a bad influence on me. So to me, what that seems there is Gypsy's setting the stage for FYI, this is not going to suddenly all be okay because now you've confirmed that you didn't make fun of me. Mom's still not going to like you, FYI. So she's just kind of covering her own butt there because with the story that she's told, I think it suddenly hit her that it's reasonable that Aaliyah would expect that now that it's all cleared up, maybe Dee Dee would be fine with her again. And Gypsy is setting the stage for a FYI, that's not going to happen. What do y'all think, friends? And then, of course, the I don't remember who was being mean. If anyone ever says anything negative about Gypsy, she never forgets it, y'all. And she does her little sympathy thing. It took me a while to pluck up the nerve to ask because it hurts super bad. And Aaliyah's being forgiving. I don't blame you. I don't blame your mom. Apparently, she did leave home in some kind of circumstances that wasn't approved of. I mean, Aaliyah's like 21 at this time, so there's no reason why she can't leave home. But I don't know how far ahead she left home or if there was some consternation with her family about it. Maybe she ran off at 19 with a boy or something. And, 19 is legal age to run off, but sometimes there are different family dynamics. Sometimes they're bad. Sometimes they're just actually overprotective, and people feel the need to run away, even though they're of legal age to not have to use that terminology. If y'all know what I mean there, I'm kind of stumbling over my words. So yeah, then Aaliyah suggests, maybe you should slightly ask your mom about if we could hang out again. It's been several years. So there's something Aaliyah feels guilty about, feels like she looks bad about. It's probably nothing, but Dee Dee and Gypsy always tried to give off this very extremely saintly and innocent vibe and perspective or perception of themselves. So, someone who left home kind of young to run off with a boy, I could see based on how they were viewed then, I could see someone like that feeling kind of embarrassed that, oh, these, extremely pure moral Christian people won't want my bad influence around. I can see where Aaliyah would go there based on what everyone knew about them then. What we know now is very, very different. That's why I was so shocked whenever I realized that Dee Dee took Gypsy into Abercrombie and Fitch, knowing how Abercrombie and Fitch was viewed back at that time. So I really think that Dee Dee was way more lenient with Gypsy than we ever could have actually known. But she did try to be very strict about not letting any of that lenience be seen in public because one, that would hurt their donations. And then two, Gypsy was going, in my opinion, way too far from what Dee Dee felt was acceptable with the lenience that she gave her. And probably just embarrassed the hell out of Dee Dee. She's probably ashamed as hell when she realized Gypsy was running off meeting 50-year-old men at 18 and stuff like that. Just throw the disclaimer out there again that I realized that Gypsy was of legal age to do that. Again, she was a teenager, and I feel like a lot of parents would have flipped out. And it's also interesting to me that Gypsy had no compunction whatsoever about telling Aaliyah that she watches Game of Thrones, she watches, all these different shows, that if Gypsy's narrative about Dee Dee was true, she wouldn't have been allowed to see. She would have been still stuck to Disney princess movies. But clearly that was all being allowed. And then I feel like Gypsy tries to switch the focus away from Aaliyah making amends with Dee Dee because Gypsy knows that's not going to happen. And she knows that she's spinning a story to Aaliyah. So I think she tries to distract her about that. And that's why she immediately goes into telling her all about Nick. Also, it's sad to realize that one of her cats had just died December 2013. A new cat had to be introduced to Gypsy only to be abandoned the night of the murder. And like I've said in other videos, I found out, I said at one point, no one knows what happened to those cats, but I found out since then, thanks to all you awesome people in the comments letting me know information that I missed, that there were people who posted information on Reddit and showed where the cats were taken in. Unfortunately, one of them was so traumatized that it didn't do well, but the cats were taken in by local people after that. And apparently, Gypsy actually tried to reach out and ask if she could go visit one of the cats. Can y'all believe that? Crazy. Now, when Aleah says in this next message, how old are you these days? I kind of got the feeling Aleah was feeling to see what Gypsy would say her age was, because it was not, Dee Dee did not make it any kind of secret that Gypsy thought she was younger than she was. She would always say she had the mind of a child, the mind of a 6 or 7-year-old. and that she was going to die young. So there was no point in making her aware of how old she actually was because she wouldn't understand it. Now, Dee Dee would shift things at times depending on who she was talking to. So at other times, she said different things, but I remember that distinctly from 2005 through 2008 whenever they were in Aurora. I don't know as much from their time, their 7 years in Springfield after they got the pink habitat house, because once they were there, no one that I personally know was their neighbors anymore. I only know people who lived around them in Aurora, Missouri before the habitat house. And it seems like Dee Dee and Gypsy went through a lot of changes in Springfield compared to how they were in Aurora and in Louisiana before that. It makes sense with Gypsy because she was growing older and her odd impulses were getting completely out of control. And it also makes sense for Dee Dee because her health went downhill and she had more and more craziness to deal with in Gypsy. What do y'all think, friends? So I also found it interesting on this one that Gypsy says, I'm going to go eat and I'll be back on later. And Aleah didn't find that strange at all because most people who spent any time around Dee Dee and Gypsy were well aware that Gypsy could eat. The feeding tube was always explained as something needed for additional nutrition whenever she was in bad episodes or something like that. But I don't remember there ever being a complete Gypsy is not able to eat food during the time before the murder in the way that Gypsy and Melissa Moore try to pretend it was now. Also interesting to me that whenever Gypsy was talking about her and Nick, and she says that she gets insecure and downs herself during her period. Didn't Gypsy try to tell us that she didn't know or understand about periods until she got to prison because whenever she started bleeding, Dee Dee put a diaper on her and said, You're just going to bleed now? Okay, yeah, to verify my thought there, I just pulled up my Kindle version of My Time to Tand. And Gypsy, there's a part where Gypsy is talking about sucking on a baby bottle. And she says, This was all so normal to me, sitting there on the rug of our home, sucking away sweetly until one day my normal was disrupted by an abnormal flow. Around the time I was 13, about a year before Hurricane Katrina, I was sitting on the floor of the living room of our apartment in Slidell, Louisiana, playing with dolls, watching The Little Mermaid. I noticed something wet and maroon colored beneath me, so dark I thought I was sitting in barbecue sauce at first. I lifted myself into my wheelchair and called for Mama, crying that something was wrong with me. You're bleeding, baby, she said, as if she were expecting my bottom to fall out like that. Okay, this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to bleed like that for a good part of your life. That was about all the knowledge I would get from her about a period. She never even called it a period or menses or anything like that. She just kept saying graphically, You're going to bleed. That's when she left the room and returned with a clean pull up. Here, she said, let's get you changed and try to get you as clean as we can. Bleeding will happen to you. To this day, I wish I had more motherly words to keep in my head every time my time of the month comes. So yeah, Gypsy claims Dee Dee never even told her what to call her period. So did she just go research that on the internet by herself? She just thought to do that? If so, why not everything else? Why not research how to actually leave instead of how to murder? We know why. We know the reason is because that's just what she wanted to do. Most of Gypsy's stories are not true. Everything is a spin. She's sick in the head and she wanted her mother gone. Regardless of anything Dee Dee did wrong, she didn't deserve that. And Gypsy decided that Dee Dee was going to be done forever. And she would never get to tell her side of the story. So, for those of you who have seen my Gypsy's Aurora obsession video that I did about how, in my opinion, naming her daughter Aurora was more about the town of Aurora than the Aurora Borealis or Christie's dog or anything like that, that it another one of her trophies, basically, from her past crimes. Even though Aurora isn't where the murder happened, I believe it's where Gypsy really started to feel like a princess for the first time. So if you've seen that video, you'll know that I took that video down for a while because I made an error. I had said that Nicholas and Gypsy planned to name their daughter Aurora, but then I realized I had made a mistake when I reviewed these text messages. And Gypsy says here to Aleah that it would be Nicholas Paul Godejohn Jr. and Gabriella Gypsy Godejohn. So I took that video down, I trimmed out that part and put in a correction and then put it back up. But another interesting thing here is where Gypsy starts describing Dee Dee's bad health. Diabetes, heart problems, glaucoma, liver disease, kidney failure, and Parkinson's disease. I don't know if all of these are correct. I know some of them are, but probably need to go back over Dee Dee's autopsy report. I haven't looked over that since last year. But it's really interesting to me that Gypsy made the choice to throw all those out there to Aleah about her mom's bad health because Gypsy is always calculated. Even when she's calculating badly and wrong in her ideas and plans, she always has a spin, in my opinion. What do y'all think, friends? Also, the newsletter and the movie nights, those were for donations. The newsletter was to keep everybody updated about Gypsy's progress, keep the donations flowing in. And then the movie nights, I don't have proof of this, but I was always told that Dee Dee would collect donations for the movie night. Like she wouldn't be, rude about it, but or anything from what I understood. But there would be a donation can there for anyone who came by to watch the movie that she would project it on the side of their house. She had a projector and it was one of their ways of making extra cash. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And Gypsy also says that she had a kidney stone surgery. That's not something I remember offhand in any records, but I'll have to look into it. Because, like I said, I haven't looked at the documents we have about Dee Dee and her autopsy and stuff since last year. Then, of course, it's hilarious where Gypsy gets into gossip here and starts going off how terrible these other people are. And then she says, Jeff's younger brother is sleeping with Debbie Akers. She's 45 and he's 18 or 19. Creepy. When we know that at 18, Gypsy left home and went and met some 50-year-old man. So, as always, anything that she actually does, she tries to talk about others doing it and how bad it is and how creepy it is. Also, I noticed that Gypsy had therapy speak down already, even back then. She was like, my relationship, mother, daughter. She always like uses the word relationship. And, I have a relationship with blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It just weirds me out. People who have healthy relationships usually don't go around talking about the relationship as if it's an object of its own, aside from the individuals in it. You know what I mean, y'all? Or am I just reaching there? It's okay to let me know if I am. Yeah, she says, we slowly got the love back and we're building up trust. And that just sounds like therapy speak. And then, oh my God, of course, all the fucking trips Disney World, Universal Studios, Harry Potter. I was nominated and won, blah, 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 Cape Cod. And I'm pretty sure the Cape Cod thing is where she was on a boat and ringing that bell. It was not for cancer. It was not for beating cancer. And then, of course, talks about she's going to meet Daniel Radcliffe and the whole Harry Potter and then going to Disney World again in January. Ugh, just gross. Yeah, Hunger Games movies, Mortal Instruments, book series, homeschool, doing good, all A plus, and got rebaptized. This all sounds so typical of Gypsy these days. She's always having, a spiritual awakening. Last year, her, Kian, Rod, and Christy all got rebaptized together at one point. Rod is trying to wash away the sins of those naked shower Skypes. Maybe some cookie crumbs too. And then here, I totally cracked up because she's like, also, I'm on Instagram, Skype, and Twitter. She's probably on each one of those multiple times from what we know from the documents. She always had so many social media accounts, but yeah, it's wild. And she already knew about reborn baby dolls and she had one, an avatar one. That's interesting. And then here, whenever Gypsy's talking about how she's going to meet Nick at the Cinderella movie, she says, I'm also nervous because I don't know how to kiss. LOL, research on YouTube. LOL. Yeah, she knew how to research anything she wanted to know, in my opinion. In my opinion, anything that she wasn't aware of as far as how to properly get away and not murder is by choice. We know she could research anything she wanted. Also, it's hilarious that she already is saying, and I'm going to be an artist. Lord girl. And then we get another instance of Gypsy complaining about Dee Dee, but it's only because Dee Dee wouldn't let her date. That's the main complaint we always get from Gypsy, whether it's before the murder, in prison, after she was released, during parole, after parole. It's always, she wouldn't let me be a real girl. And as I've said so many times, there's a whole lot of kids in situations with cults, with organizations that are not considered cults, but that are just extremely restrictive and conservative, like the Amish. Then you have cults like the FLDS, which are known for child labor, child marriage, in addition to not letting them be real kids And whenever I was at CrimeCon, I talked to Mike King, who was one of the officers who helped take down Warren Jeffs, the prophet, quote unquote, of the FLDS, who was in charge of a lot of those child marriages and participated in a lot of them himself. And I asked him directly if there are any instances of FLDS children who've been abused, murdering their parents to get away. And he said, no, no, there aren't any. Well, that is all the opining and speculation that I had on those messages, friends. Let me know what you'll think in the comments. I am very curious to hear, and we'll go out with a little palate cleanser. Hope y'all are having a good day. Hey, Bubby, you want to say hi to the people? Oh, and Boop. Hey, Bubby, you want to say hi to the people? Look at your majestic whiskers. He doesn't care much for being an influencer, y'all. Doesn't appreciate the camera. Look, he doesn't trust it. Hey, Bubby. Let me show y'all how white he is from the top view. He's a chunky boy. Aren't you, Bubby? You're a chunky boy. What's up, Johnny Helldiver? Look how tiny he is, friends. Where you going, Bubby? Kitten purrs. What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy? Have a snack?